That kind of sounded like the old rubber chicken. Give me goosebumps. All right, John Montgomery is going to start us off with our call for introspection and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon, everyone. We've had many different perspectives on introspections, and today I'm going to do something a little offbeat, but I hope will at least make you think. I think it's talk show host David Letterman that was famous for his top 10 lists. And today, my theme is, you may recognize the old Spike Lee movie from 1989, Do the Right Thing. And these are some of the top 10 items of how to do the right thing as written or voiced by people that were prominent in various fields. Number 10, this is from the British writer C.S. Lewis. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Number 9, this is another Brit, Winston Churchill, one of my favorite persons to quote on a variety of subjects. You can always count on Americans to do the right thing after they've tried everything else. Number 8 comes from the Indian leader renowned for his nonviolent resistance, Mahatma Gandhi. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Number 7 comes from the late President Abraham Lincoln. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That is my religion. Number 6 comes from the former First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, or you're going to be criticized anyway. Number 5 is the distinguished general known for his performance in the Gulf War, Norman Schwarzkopf. The truth of the matter is that you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it. Now we're going to take a turn. The renowned TV talk show host, Oprah Winfrey. Real integrity is doing the right thing. No. Number 3 comes from Billy Graham. When I have a problem of deciding right from wrong, I always give it 3 tests. First, I give it the common sense test and ask if it's reasonable. Then I give it a prayer test. Or against it. Number two comes from Albert Schweitzer. You must give some time to your fellow man, even if it's a little thing. Do something for those who have need of help, something for which you get no pay but the privilege of doing it. But remember, you don't live in a world all your own. Your brothers are here too. And the number 1 thing that I've chosen on this topic comes from a great person to quote as well, I think, on a number of things, Benjamin Franklin. Old Ben said, remember not only to say the right thing in the right place, but far more difficult still is to leave unsaid the wrong thing at the tempting moment. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you, John. Very inspirational words. All right. Next up, we've got our introduction of guests, and Pegram Johnson is going to do that for us.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to say that we have 4 guests with us today. And the first one who was here, very eager, he beat me to the welcome table even, is Chester Leonard. And Chester is right over here. He's with Southwest Virginia Wildlife Center. Chester, if you'd stand up. And his host, Jason, stand up with Jason Poff. Thank you. And second guest signing in was Theodore. Actually, he was first now that I think about it. Theodore Hartman, and he's right over here, and he is a guest of. And also over there is John. So, and then we have 2 or 3 times now. Name's Doug Pacer, and where is Doug? It is right here, and he's a guest of Don Witt and Ken Briggs. So, welcome. Please come back.
Okay, next up, we have Jeff Beck, who's going to be talking about our membership campaign.
Okay, good afternoon, Kiwanians. In the spirit that John Montgomery started up here with quotes, I wanted to share a few quotes with you about finishing what we've started. So we are America, second to none, and we own the finish line. Don't forget it. As Kiwanians, for the membership drive, we own that finish line. We know what we want to do, and we know what we're going to do with our members. And that can be expressed in many ways, either through the KPIs that the strategy committee has set up. It can be measured in that way, but it's also measured in the number of hours that we put into our community, right, with those new members. Another quote is, "Nice guys finish first," right? If you don't know that, then you don't know where the finish line is. The finish line for us on this membership drive is right here, and we nice people are building our community and improving our community one member at a time. Now, I've gone back to the chairs because while we've brought in lots of guests, and I'm happy to see new guests today, and you're very welcome, our speakers, especially from Carillion, and then we also have a young man whose mother I sat next to at Roanoke College today, where she's a professor, and it's the amazing reach this club has across the community always continues to astound me. But we've brought in almost 30 guests. Now I say, you bring the guests, we'll do the rest. Let us push to the end of the summer. The finish line are these 5 chairs. Okay, we have had 4 losses over the last couple of months, and we've picked up what seems to be 3 quality members, and some of us may be on the verge of considering joining us. Bring your friends, let them know. Let us fill these 5 chairs. We can use the guests that we brought in as a start, but let's keep bringing the guests. Let's take them to social events. Let's take them to our projects, just to show them what we're all about. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much. Let us try to bring in a few more guests and convert those guests to members. We'd like to do that within this summer, but if that doesn't work, we'll just keep pushing until we get the job done, because we do own this finish line, folks, and nice guys do finish first. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Don Witt is coming up, and he's going to have a few final words about the Ducky Derby, which is taking place this weekend.
I'm back. Yes, I just wanted to, I wanted to brag on this club. We had approximately 67 donors purchasing tickets, Ducky Derby tickets, an average of $20 each. At a recent board meeting at the foundation, the treasurer said about Roanoke, says, "You guys are tearing it up." Well, we are carrying it up, but we're ahead of everybody else, but there's several clubs that are starting to dump $500, $100, $500, $1,000 into the pot and trying to beat us. So we're not finished yet, but we'd like to be first place. And so it's not too late to cough up a few more bucks, if you will. I'll be out in the front desk and I can turn in your money, or you can turn it in yourself. But please join us in this Ducky Derby. And I'm going to be at the meeting this weekend. I could bring back your $750 if you win, or I might keep it. I don't know.
Thank you, Doc. And just as a reminder, Corleone's Neonatal Center is one of the beneficiaries of all the funds raised with the Ducky Derby that goes to neonatal centers across our capital district. Okay, so we've got some announcements. I'm going to ask Joyce and Larry Kufel to make their way to the podium. Today, our membership committee meets at 1:35, directly after our meeting in this space. Harry Zuloff will be leading that. Next week, directly after our meeting in this space, the Environment Committee is meeting, and that is Courtney Plaster.
Thanks, President Jean. Larry Kufel here. Just a reminder that our Columbus social evening at Momentum is coming up. On Thursday, September 18th, we're all going to go across the street to Momentum Theater and see $1 Million Quartet. That is a true story about a famed jam session by 4 rock and rollers: Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lewis, and Carl Perkins. And the story goes on from there. It's a great show. The guy that we have playing Jerry Lewis is just incredible. So this includes a reception at 6 o'clock, venue which will be at Center in the Square, but I'm not sure exactly what floor yet. I'll let you know as soon as I find out. But Amy Carter is going to supply the head hors d'oeuvres. We're going to have an open bar, and it's on and soft drinks and water, and the whole package for that evening is going to be $50 per. So don't miss it. We have a great time. It's a good time to bond with our friends and our families, and it's open to the public. So if you got friends or future possible members, have a great time. Thank you. It's $53. Oh, I'm sorry, $53. Thanks. And there's sign-up logs on the table, right?
Good afternoon. Am I close enough? Yes. I'm Joyce Montgomery, President-elect. So you've already heard somebody's hot on my heels. I will be up next. Okay, I have directions for y'all today. On your table is a bunch of, this is the committees that our club sponsors. So this is last year. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to sign up for some more clubs, committees, if you want to make a change, now is the time. So there's what's happening. There's also, to make it simple, the last pages is just the committees. So you can put your name beside that if you find this to be too bulky, that you can't figure that out. It's just to let you know, because some people say, I forgot what I signed up for. So here's what you signed up for. If you're happy, don't do anything. If you want to change, write on it. Second, instructions. Our directory update. If you have any changes for the directory, your email, your address, your phone number, now's the time to give them to me or to John. If you need a new photo or you don't have a photo, Don Witt, who's our photographer, will be happy to take a picture for you that we can get into the directory. So that's your second instructions. John says I'm good at this. Third is in the newsletter, it said the calendar, we are not meeting on the 24th of September. That is partly true, partly not. We're not having the day meeting. It's our installation of officers. So we will have a meeting on the 24th of September, but it will be in the evening. So don't make plans. You won't miss it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. All right. So we have time for brag bucks. I know we've got John Pendleton, Rita Joyce is going to come up, Guy Bird, Ken Briggs. Who else do we have? Ben Spiker. For our guests, brag bucks are an opportunity for folks to donate money to the foundation, which provides funds for our service budget, and they can then talk about something personal they want to share, some special event in the community. As long as it's clean, we'll take your money.
Thank you, President Jean. I'm Ken Briggs, and I'm bragging on behalf of Chris Rouse. Chris had a last-minute business appointment and asked me to remind you that about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had a program here presented by Chris's Coffee and Custard. Beth Woodman was here and talked about that great program. This Saturday is going to be a benefit appreciation day for Chris's Coffee and Custard down at their location at 824 9th Street, very near the American Viscose facility, from 9 a.m. to 8:30. So it's a good opportunity for us to drop in and encourage Chris and his army of employees and volunteers. And as some of you may know, we sponsor an action club presently, and there's a good prospect that Chris's Coffee may be a location for a second action club as we move down the road. My second brag on Chris Rouse, who is our new SLP chairman, Service Leadership Programs. He's looking for new action club. He's inspiring our key club leaders. Chris is doing a great job. Thank you.
I'm Guy Bird, and I just wanted to let you all know that the second annual Adult Care Center Golf Classic is coming up on September 15th out at the Roanoke Country Club. And we've got some wonderful sponsors with us this year. Chick-fil-A is going to provide the lunch, and Mission Barbecue is going to provide our awards dinner. So it's going to be a fun evening, fun day. And there's some sheets of information on the tables. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rita Joyce, and I'm with the Bank of Botetourt as Community Development Officer. Bank of Botetourt, best bank in the state by Forbes magazine in 2024. We are a community bank, and we are having our first business class at the Melrose Plaza Community Room, multi-purpose room. And this is called the Ball Foundations. Is business, practical business tools to start and strengthen your business. So maybe you don't need it, but you know someone who does. We're going to have all our experts from the bank there talking about business, how to grow your business, and if you're starting a new business, all what you need to start a business and the importance of a banking relationship. The flyer is on your tables. Please take it or take a picture of it. If you know anyone who wants to attend, please have them email me to register. Thank you.
I'm John Pendleton, and I just wanted to brag really on my family because I have a recent birthday, and my children made a real effort to get here to celebrate with me. And I have one son who lives here in town, and he has 2 daughters, and they were there. And as some of you may recall, the older girl had a pretty serious congenital issue when she was born and was in the hospital for a while. but she's doing well and actually, yesterday entered Crystal Springs School. She's the fourth generation of my wife's family to go to that elementary school. She's in the first grade. And the younger girl started preschool. And so I just want to brag about them. And I have to say that I think these two girls who live a block from me, granddaughters, have added years to my life. So I'm going to sweeten up my donation a little bit. I have no age to my age. Thank you.
I'm Ben Spiker and I'm responding to Reef Kessler. On August 6th, I celebrated my 48th wedding anniversary with my wife, Beth, 48 years. Yes, I was a child bride. And my wife will tell you that it is the best 4 or 5 years of her life. In addition to that, on June 3rd, I turned 70 and am slowly but surely easing into retirement, which is a new experience. So I have made my gift to the foundation representing both of those. Thank you, Reef. You're awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Those are some awesome brags. Okay, so now it's my pleasure to ask our member, Dr. Lee Learman, to come up and introduce today's guests.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Kiwanians. Pleasure to be with you today, and I have a daunting task ahead of me. It's going to sound a little bit like brag books. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these two speakers for today, the third installment in our month of features from Virginia Tech Carolyn School of Medicine. What I'm going to tell you is that if you Google either of their last names, space VTCSOM, you'll get yourself to a landing page that has all sorts of cool biographical information about them. I'm just going to highlight a few things about each one. We'll start with Dr. Jed Gonzalo. He's our Senior Associate Dean for Medical Education. And what that means is that he's in charge of all the things we do to take folks that finished college and want to get the MD degree. And there's a whole lot of things that are involved in that process. So we call that UME, undergraduate. Imagine being called an undergraduate in medical school. UME, undergraduate medical education. Jed Gonzalo, and that is his niche. Now, Jed comes to us 3 years ago from Penn State Hershey, and he brings with him his wonderful family, including Tiffany, their 3 children, starting 2nd, 4th, and 6th grade, and they're keeping busy in South Roanoke. So Jed Gonzalo is the UME king, and he's part of this team. I'll say some things about both of them together in a second, but our second guest today is Arthur Ohlendorf. And Arthur Ohlendorf is in charge of all of the graduate medical education programs at Carilion Clinic, which are called the Carilion Clinic VTC residencies and fellowship programs. So graduate medical education is what happens to turn an MD or a DO into the specialist that takes care of you. All the medical, surgical specialties, all the niches that they learn, a lot of that happens in structured programs that are called GME. And Dr. Ohlendorf is the designated institutional official in charge of all of those programs for Carilion Clinic. So he's the GME person, okay, the GME person who does that next stage of the training. And he and his wife Candace are living in, you live in the county, don't you? In the county. And they're empty nesters, so they enjoy the wonderful mountains and environments here in the Blue Ridge area with their dog Murray. I got the name right? Okay. So that's Arthur. Now, the two of them together are just, I mean, they're amazing separately, but the two of them together are also renowned in their fields: internal medicine for Jed Gonzalo, OBGYN for Arthur Ohlendorf, full professors, came to us from leadership positions, in Arthur's case, Asheville, North Carolina, and I mentioned where Jed was from. So they came to us already with amazing credentials, and I'm just feel incredibly gifted, or a sense of gratitude that both of these national leaders would come to Roanoke and be part of our VTC experiment in innovation and impact, to come here and to contribute their time and effort to deepening our innovation and impact. What they do on the national level is manifold. They do a bunch of things, but each of them has worked specifically in this space of the undergraduate to graduate transition period. So what happens with student education doesn't always map clearly into what happens when they start to learn their specialties. To really generate the workforce of the future means to be very thoughtful about how both pieces work together. So they're nationally around, they've contributed to national conversations and innovations on how to do this transition well. And I expect their topic today will help us understand more about this from our perspective in the community. So please step forward, Drs. Gonzalo and Ohlendorf.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us and thanks for welcoming us, and thanks to Dean Lieberman for that wonderful introduction. Unfortunately for the dean, he's usually in venues where nobody acknowledges him. So there are so many things going on in South Roanoke on the health sciences campus, and Dean Lieberman's leading the charge. So I just want to acknowledge his leadership. He is one of the hardest workers I've ever met to be leading on behalf of all of us. So thank you to Dean Lieberman. All right, so it's a privilege to be here with Arthur. So we're going to talk a little bit about workforce. So I'm going to shift up to the screen, if you don't mind, and go to the next slide for us. Arthur and I tried to work on some high-level objectives here to kind of really focus on workforce, particularly in Southwest Virginia, Roanoke, but also nationally from two different perspectives. The second goal is from the School of Medicine, what Dean Lieberman was talking about from the UME perspective, and the third is more from the GME perspective, residency, VTC/Carilion Clinic. Go to the next slide. Anybody recognize this picture? As Dean Lieberman says, this is my year 3, but I enjoy looking at photos of this. This is taken from what's the southeast perspective, aerial view, 1990s. So this is 25, 30 years ago. Anybody want to comment on those who have been here, what it was like back in the 1990s? Wet, yeah, due to the river, and certainly had all that businesses there, the tile mart, the tire factory that was there, the mounds of dirt. I mean, when I look at where my office is and Dean Lieberman's office, it was a pile of rocks. And it's just amazing how far that has come 25, 30 years. But you see Carilion Clinic, the Roanoke Memorial Hospital, when I look at this photo, really was founded all the way back to the formation years of the hospital, 1910s and 1920s. The residencies started in an informal way, but a structured way in the 1950s. And it wasn't until the early 1970s that the residency programs became more established. But this mission of Roanoke Memorial was for the patients of the region, but also had a very strong footprint for education. A large number of buildings that exist. We're looking at the medical school, the biomedical research institute,
Right, so I was told to repeat the question for people that are zooming in. So the question is, to discuss about burnout in residents and medical students. I'll talk about the residency side. If you look at attrition, like people who quit their residency, it's actually incredibly low. It's less than 5%, either quit or change specialties. So medical students are really good at picking what they want to do, and they're just really hardworking people. So it takes a lot, but there is a definite burnout. Some things have been done to improve that. We have duty hour restrictions. So I used to hear of stories back in my day, and it's definitely true in our days. We work more than 100, 120 hours a week. Now they're capped to 80, which helps, but doesn't get rid of it. They can't work more than 24 hours shifts in a row. That's good. But a lot of it is, how do you support them? So we actually have something called a GME Wellbeing Navigator. Lindsay McKinnon, you may know her, she's been in the community for a while. And her job is to figure out, how do we support residents and their families during this really intense time? It can be around, I don't know how to save money for my kids' education, or how do I get a doctor's appointment when I'm working 70 hours a week? So we're trying to figure out how to make that journey a little less uncomfortable. But there's definitely a burnout, and we know that. I mean, we've heard that not happen here, knock on wood, but suicides do happen among trainees. There's a big case in DC last year of a anesthesia resident who committed suicide because it became too much. We're always trying to prevent that. On the student side, I don't know if you want to comment. It's probably very similar on the student side. How do we support them? No, absolutely. I think that the awareness has been so much greater, I've said, the last 10 years about that journey and how difficult it can be. And neurosurgery is a 7-year residency. So there's a minimum of 11 years between med school and residency to be a neurosurgeon.
I can make just one interesting fact. Virginia Tech enlisted consultants to look at the workforce of the future. Very robust analysis. One piece of it was that be prepared, everyone. Your top performers in every industry, 20% of them will have significant mental health issues that you need to mitigate for them to be able to be successful and to be retained. So we all have to get ready for that future, and I think it came first to medicine.
Please. I'll talk quickly. I mean, so I'm primarily employed by Carillion, so I have my Carillion hat on. I have multiple hats, especially when Dear Limerin's around. Carillion, another part of my job is I'm in sort of all visiting students, nursing, PA, NP, you name the subspecialty. We're always trying to find people to train at Carillion because I think they're going to stay at Carillion. And that isn't necessarily at CRMH. We're talking about Giles, Lexington, Newer Valley, like the whole. So not surprisingly, if you imagine which of all the nursing schools, for example, who do we retain the most graduates from? It's Virginia Western. They live here. They're from the community. They're going to stay. So for nursing, it's a little bit easier because of the training, the length of training, and how it works. It's a little more complicated on the medical school side. So I'll let Jed wants to comment, or Dean Liver want to comment on that.
It's real important that we develop the pathways that come from the community and that link the future of health science career students to opportunities. And as you may know, the initiatives that were led by the Blue Ridge Partnership with Carillion Clinic at the lead, funded by Go Virginia Region 2, have now been elevated to being statewide because they're so effective. So what it takes is early recognition in high school and before, and elevating people's interests in health sciences, STEM H it's called, including health professions, and then providing explicit pathways through Virginia Western to nursing degrees and other degrees, very specific pathways as well. So we've been involved in all of those activities as part of a holistic way of growing workforce in the STEM age areas, including the healthcare workforce. But another part of that reality is that there is never enough abundance in any area to reassign people, because reassigning them would need to create less access for the primary panel of patients they care for. So there's never, I mean, a perfect world, we have excess. We'd have excess for vacations and leaves of absence and all of that. And some of that excess could be applied to emergent needs. But we don't have that excess. Everyone's working real hard just to keep up with the access needs.
Until we have time for one or two more questions, depending on the question. Wow, you hit one of my strong suits. We've been talking about that nationally. So I'm the past president of our national teaching organization for OBGYN, about to pass my past president torch tomorrow. The answer, there's a shift. So OBGYN has never been more popular. So we filled all 2,500 OBGYN residency slots. They're all full. So there's a waiting list, so to speak, to be an OBGYN. What we're seeing is a bit of a shift of where they apply. So while every program fills, we're seeing relatively fewer applications in restricted states around reproductive rights and slightly higher ones in the non-restrictive states. But in the end, everyone's still entering residency. What we're really interested in seeing, we won't know this for about 3 or 4 years, do they stay, right? There's training one place, will these 70% statistics, 50% statistics continue? That we don't know yet because it's only been about 3 years since Dobbs. One more question. Right. So I'm also an addiction medicine physician. So yes, I'm an OB in addiction because that's an issue. It's Appalachia. I'll talk about that. I'll leave older care to the internal medicine doc. So yeah, I think we have an addiction medicine fellowship, 2 fellows per year. It's a 1-year fellowship because we have a lot of need and a lot of opportunity for people to learn about addiction medicine and how it affects different communities, and how it affects Roanoke is very different. How it affects, Newer Valley or further southwest. So our fellows go to both those places. So they really understand what the resources are, what's it like to struggle with addiction in those communities, and how they can be a part of it. So our graduate last year, for example, was an OBGYN, ironically. She's opening up a methadone clinic in Bristol. They don't have one. She's actually opening it up with the guy who was featured in Dope Sick. He's her boss. So I think we're looking for those ways of doing things. And I think we try to find those specialties of need. I don't know if you want to,
Independent of specialty, what we think from the education mission side is that 25 to 30% of the patients over the next 5 years are going to be 65 or greater. So we think, how do we educate our learners, our students and our residents to be able to care for patients who are in that age range, say geriatrics, for example. That's a challenge. But the other challenge to that is most of our physicians, there's a quarter of physicians who are within 3 to 5 years of retirement of that same age, and most of them are men. So what we're seeing is a shift in medical education, those matriculating in. 40% of our physicians right now are women, but that number is increasing to the point of our matriculating class. 70% of our class right now are women. So there's a shift in the proportion of gender. Those who are retiring are more men, more women are coming into the workforce, but we know women spend less time in working years within the profession for a number of variables. So I think we have a number of challenges coming up and opportunities coming up for how we balance the workforce, gender, specialty. Thanks, everybody.
Well, that was an outstanding presentation from Doctors Gonzalo and Ohlendorf, who lost his B somewhere along the way. Don't sit down yet. We want to present your honorarium, which is going to the Bradley Free Clinic. All right, and next week we have another great presentation that Dr. Limerick has brought us, Dr. Nick Ryder, and this will be translating AI breakthroughs into patient care outcomes. So that should be quite an interesting one. If you're on the membership committee, don't forget to hang around a little bit. And our guest speakers, I hope, will stay around a bit as well for some additional questions. I just want to say hey to Kathy Cohen when Angela Paplamatis left as well. We haven't seen them in a while, so it's nice to have them visiting again. And if you get a chance, check out Pegram Johnson's socks. I just caught a glimpse of those earlier, and they're pretty fantastic. We're adjourned, everyone.